finally we are at episode 5. It's been a struggle, but we are getting there. This season is a struggle. Yeah. Today, we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. Her name is Clare. But before I introduce her, I just want to warn you guys that in today's episode, blended families are usually bitter than they are sweet, but today's guest is actually sweeter than.
Thank you.
Than the bitterness.
Yeah.
And most of all, which I'm shocked, she brought for us donuts. It's the first time a guest has brought us anything.
You're welcome. Oh, it's my absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
and you did say you're a pastry. What wheat is your weakness?
Yes.
There you go.
I'm saying someone has brought us a gift. Donuts.
Your enemies are closer than you think.
Than I think, yeah?
They're right near you.
And then look the
she started
person.
working out.
Look
Then
the
here I am.
person who's baking the donuts. Look how they look.
Yeah.
And with that's an introduction. I'll let Claire introduce herself. And then we can continue with the episode.
Oh, thank you so much, Catherine.
Welcome,
and
Claire.
I'm so sorry. If you're on a diet, you don't give them to the crew. Trust me, they will enjoy it. Right? But just taste one.
There's no I'm missing in
I
this
taste.
life. We are all dying. 6 by 6.
You must have a small bite.
A
Okay.
whole donut.
Please do. Thank you for having me. My name is Clare Karatu. I'm a mother of 2 very beautiful girls. I love saying that because they really are. They really are. It's not just because I'm their mother. They're really beautiful
But also
inside
because
out.
you're their
And
mom.
also because I'm their mother.
And you are beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, I am married to one man. We're going to give the whole story, I guess, in a bit. But my name is Clare Karatu.
Not 1.5?
No, not 1.5. Just one. Just one.
1.75?
No, just
Okay,
one.
good. You've left the rest to the pool.
Yes. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Welcome
Thank
today.
you for having me.
And I was just earlier on, I was speaking that when it comes to blended families, it's usually the men who come with the children.
Oh, yeah.
I can say from my experience, it's minor who came with the children. He did not wait for me to finish high school. And we always joke, by the time I was getting married, I was in Form 1, so he couldn't have waited for me. But in this situation, you're the one who came with the children.
Yeah.
Could you just walk us through the journey of how you're a single mom and then you met someone who loves you just the way you are?
Okay. Do we have time?
Yes, we do.
Anyway.
Always ready for a love story.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I got pregnant when I was 21. I got pregnant when I was 21 to my then boyfriend. Gave birth, raised our firstborn. It was a shaky and rocky relationship because it was in and out. And then during the in and out process got pregnant with my secondborn.
Okay.
Right? And on the other side, it was an intentional impregnation. Then gave birth to her. We had a ceremony, and I guess when you don't work through relationship things, and of course we were also both very young, decisions that are being made during that period of time are, a little bit on the offside. You're still understanding. Exactly. And we talked about this before. It's children raising children. And also trying to understand myself whilst I'm also growing. You know what I mean?
You're growing with your children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, I wouldn't say blame it on one party. I think both of us needed a lot of work. To put in a lot of work towards that relationship. I just think we both didn't. And so we fell apart. I always say it's a subtle way of giving that story. But of course, there's a lot of more details that I probably won't necessarily talk about right now. I know, not today. That's another episode.
Not today.
And so I left the relationship, at not the best of points, because there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of bitterness, there was a lot of words exchanged, words of which I've spoken about before, where I was told, nobody's going to want you. You've got 2 children, you're damaged goods. Who's going to want you? And so fast forward of getting back into the dating scene, which, Catherine, there's a lot of ladies who reach out and they're like, I'm too scared to get back to that dating pool with 2 kids. Like, why? Yeah, like, let me just raise my kids and let me just stay on my own, right?
You're not lying.
It's
when I was
difficult.
doing the image consultancy.
Yeah.
You see, by the time a woman is coming to do a whole makeover, they want to change how they look.
Yeah.
They were mostly single women. They're trying to get back into the dating scene.
Yeah.
And they've they've been single raising their children. They don't know how to, murky waters.
Yeah.
Nowadays, so called the chafu, but I still believe there are good men outside there. There are good women outside there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But it's tough to put yourself aside, to be vulnerable again.
It is, especially when there are children involved. Let me tell you, it took time. Oh my gosh. Well, I dated and I had fun. And though I had a nice, I guess, role, like I keep saying, that there were good men who came along and were willing to take me and my kids. But that's also because of the fact that it wasn't something that I was scared about. Like, my children are my pride and joy. They're not a baggage. They're not.
It's a full package. It's either you're taking it or you're not.
Exactly. So, dated a few guys. It didn't work out.
Can you repeat? Dated a few guys again for the women at the back.
There weren't that many, but I dated a few guys. Yes, I did date. I did date, and it didn't work out because of the fact that you also get to a point where you're very picky. You see, whereas before I didn't necessarily have the, what is it called? The list that most people check out. When they say the older you get, the list gets shorter. But for me, my list actually got longer because now I'm a single parent with 2 children. And so there are specific things that I'm going to look for. It's not just, which is most a misconception. I'm not desperate. Do you understand what I mean?
No,
I'm really not desperate, which is usually the misconception that a lot of people have, where it's just like, she's a single mom, she's desperate. For me, my list got longer and I wanted specific things in a person. And so, I ended up meeting. It's a funny story, actually. I knew him before from high school.
I knew love stories, please. It's been a while
since we had some love stories. So we knew each other from high school, and he saw me with a mutual friend of ours. And so he inboxed her and he said, "Hey, were you hanging out with Claire? Do you mind if you could get my number?" And so she asked me, and she's like, "Hey, so-and-so is asking for your number." And I said, "Why? For what reason?" No. And no, because I knew him from before, right? And so it just didn't make sense as to why he'd be interested
now.
Exactly, he'd be interested now. To cut the long story short, he ended up inboxing me directly, and I asked him to surprise me in terms of the date, and we ended up going for a date, and the rest is history. The first time we went on a date, I actually asked him, "Have you been dared? Like, why are you taking me on a date?" Because it didn't make sense. This is somebody who knows I've got 2 kids. So what are we doing here? Exactly. And he was just like, "No, I've not been dared. Nobody has dared me. I intentionally want to be here." Yeah. And then, we moved on from there. So
it was hard for him to, well, poor man, it was a challenge we are sorry, but it eventually worked out. She said yes.
Yes.
So was it hard? Was it hard? Were you fearful? Did you maybe think that you never ever have a family?
I already had, I guess this is something that needs to be really emphasized a lot more. Even you as a single mom, you're already a family. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
That is a type of family. And I guess now with the conversations that we have with, like with my kids and the kids, I try to talk to them about the different types of families that we have. And so in my mind, I wasn't thinking I'm incomplete because I don't have a man. Me and those kids were going to be just fine. Do you get what I mean? And so, did I think that I wasn't ever going to find love? No.
Good.
Like, I was 100% okay with the fact that if I do, if I don't, I'm still positive. And I think I still believe that there are good men out there.
And they are.
Was I fearful? Yes, I was. I was very fearful, especially because of the fact that when it comes to kids, there's a lot of things that you hear. There's a lot of things that you have to deal with. And it's a lot different when you're not in the pool experiencing those things. It's a lot different when it's just a figment of your imagination of, okay, how is the mom going to perceive me? How are the siblings, relatives going to perceive me?
How they're going to introduce you. Here is Claire with two children. And they're like, what's happened? Where's the father? Is the father present?
Why are you taking somebody's wife? You understand? These are the things that we had to deal with. And we did hear some of them. And, I guess you just deal with them. Yeah.
He's truly a man who's secure in himself, who knows what he wants.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just happy that you had positive energy. So, you know, the energy you give out is the energy you get back. So, you know, you opened your heart and it happened.
Yeah.
Even though you're about to multiply his inbox now, we wouldn't have him.
I really wouldn't.
How was it getting introduced to his parents and your parents? How did both families take it? Because, you know, relatives do play a very big fact. They have a very big impact, as much as we want to say, oh, we don't care. But families are very influential, especially for us African families. So how did your parents take it and how did his parents take it?
Oh, wow. So for me, my father is a very traditional man, because of the fact that I guess he was just raised that way and he raised us that way. So even growing up, we never had that freedom to bring guys. You know, the way guys would be like, oh, there's a guy here.
No.
Our house was an African household.
Same as
yours. African household. So the first time...
Claire to have a baby at 21.
I know. Exactly. And their experience, I guess, with my ex was not as pleasant. And so I guess also the aspect of overprotection then comes into play. So when I was telling them about somebody that I've met and that I'm interested in, they were like, what are you talking about? And I was like, yeah, and I would like you. Yeah, and I'd like you to meet him. And so the first time I told my father about him, I said, could you please have coffee with him? In fact, it was my husband who's asked. He's like, could I please have coffee with your dad? And I'm just like, who's
cute.
that? Wangu, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because he's an African man.
Yes.
And he said, yeah, I'd love to have coffee with him.
That is enough for me to marry you.
I know.
Can we get married tomorrow?
Because I have an African dad.
No,
because of asking for coffee.
I don't even need an engagement. Let's go.
When I told my dad about it, in fact, the first thing that he did was send him to his best friend who is like a pastor and everything. I'm like, no, go and speak to so and so about whatever it is that you want to speak about. And I said, no, I really insist. I think you should have tea. And we set up sort of like a tea at home where he came and he sort of interacted. And that's very same day, just based off that one interaction, my dad was like, you are my son. You don't need to go through anybody else. And for me, I'm like, what's happening here? Like, what is going on here? Because when I talk about traditional African man, I mean exactly that. And so from that first interaction, my dad sort of gauged the character that he's dealing with, and just absolutely fell in love with him. Now, as for me, I think I've said this before, but I feel extremely blessed to have the mother-in-law that I have. And the reason I say that is because of the acceptance that I've gotten from her. Me and the kids, I don't take that for granted because I know it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen as easily and automatically.
That's a wonderful,
wonderful and I say this feeling extremely privileged because I've spoken to a lot of people in blended families, and the mother-in-law aspect is always the first concern where it's like, I'm having a very bad time, you know? And so the mom, we had coffee with her at an art cafe. I think it was the one at Junction, if I'm not wrong, the first time I met her. And she was fully aware of my, the fact that I've got 2 children, and we ended up just having a conversation, and that was that. That was that. She's been fantastic ever since. I really have nothing negative to say about her. She's accepted my kids. She's accepted me. She's the one who's walked with us in a lot of difficult situations. She's sat my husband down and said, listen, this in the beginning stages, it's not for play. This is for keeps. The kids are involved. This is for keeps. Yeah. So you need to constantly work at it. In fact, I would say that if it wasn't for her, there's a lot of things we wouldn't have been able to sort of work through. She's just been a fantastic backbone. Her and God, of course. Yeah.
For that, you know, a mother in love is not easy to find.
It's really not.
Yes, especially to say yes to someone with 2 children. Yeah. Most people don't stand a chance because of how judgmental and traditional our society is. So that's an amazing woman.
And it's not just one, it's 2.
Yes,
it's 2 children. Like,
but mine had 4. So it's
it happens.
It happens. Life is happening.
Yeah.
I always say, and I repeat in every episode, no one enters a relationship wanting for it to end.
Yeah, that's true.
No one.
That's true.
We all want it to work.
Yeah.
But then when it doesn't work, we have to move on with life. Life is to be lived, But when it comes to children, I'm so happy that you didn't, he didn't come and play the game of back and forth.
Yeah.
Because my next question is, how did you break the news to your children?
Oh my gosh. I'm just going to first say, in terms of the back and forth, which is something that a lot of blended families go through, and it's not talked about enough.
Yes.
But I feel like I just want to talk about it because of the fact that it's very easy for you to leave. In fact, there's a blended, I know you've interviewed Dindi, and there's a blended family forum, and what they were saying is that divorces in blended families
80%
are actually higher than
Very
in what is it called?
In the normal
traditional families,
they don't
right?
stand a chance.
Yeah.
They don't stand a chance.
And that's because of the fact that you've been through the difficulties. Me, as a single mom, I've known what it's like to be single and to raise my kids on my own. And so it's just easier to be like, you know what, I don't need this drama. And because of the fact that we deal with so many different things.
Then every morning, it's a new dynamic.
It's something new.
Something you didn't even imagine will be an issue.
Exactly.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So I just want to bring that to light in the fact that it wasn't a perfect transition for us. It's been challenging. It's been constant work. It's been fights. It's been emotions. That we've gotten to the point where we've gotten. And they say it takes 5 to 7 years for you to completely blend. Yes.
And there's sometimes, I'll honestly tell you the truth, you don't blend with everyone. Exactly. So you might find you have 5 children and your relationship with each child is very different because they have their own personality. So there are others you fully blend and others you won't. So you win some and you lose some. You have to make peace with that.
It's so funny how everything is exaggerated in blended families, because if you look at a traditional family, it's the same thing.
You will find even at some point when you're a teenager, you are not agreeing with your mom.
Exactly.
You find at some point your brother maybe didn't agree with your dad, and it was okay. But when it comes to a blended family, the pressure is immense. It's like whatever you're going through is because of
the fact that you're in a blended family.
So that's even us transitioning from teenage. If you ask people, at a certain age, you're not talking to your mom because you are not
you're
feeling
a teenager.
her.
You had your hormones. Yeah, you're just not friends.
You're not feeling her because your progesterone's two women in the house.
Yeah.
But when you're in a blended family, everything is just hyped. Everything is 100%, 150%. But I also think that our society plays a very big role in family.
Okay. In terms of
if it's going to work or not, the people you surround yourself with, because they're the ones who are going to help you through this transition.
100%.
You said your mother-in-law, because we need to keep reaffirming. In a blended families, you're reaffirming. Do you know, for your partner, and I would definitely host a stepdad, these children are used to being left, and being left by the person who should love them the most. So the probability of me leaving who is not even related to them is very high. So you have to be consistent. I had to be consistent. When I said yes to Mike, it was no longer about me and him. Me and you, I can pack you, but I cannot pack those children because I can't re-traumatize them again. If I didn't come here for keeps, I might have well not started it. So, and so that's also, it requires a special person like your husband and the family to do it. Like you said, without their support, there would have been no chance.
But I guess, that's why I really love the space that you're creating when it comes to the blended family, and the space that, people like Dindi, even the space that I'm trying to create as well. It's because of...
You've created and you're creating.
And you're creating, yes. Thank you. But I think and I keep saying this, is a certain level of wisdom that's needed when it comes to being in a blended family. And the reason that it's important for the viewers to sort of sit back and listen to our experiences, it's not just to compare, but to also be able to pick apart the things that they're able to then apply if they're willing. Because you see, like I said, it's not everything is not.
Every blended family
is different.
The dynamics are different. Mine cannot be like yours. Yours cannot be like mine.
But
For me, I do it because I want someone to not struggle as I struggled.
Yeah.
To make the mistakes that I made because I didn't know. I want them to get there faster than I got there.
Yeah.
I don't want you to take 7 years. If you can take 2, why not?
Why not? But it's what I was getting to is it's easier said than done, because like there's so many times where I've listened to because there's not much content in Kenya when it comes to blended families. I've listened to like content from out there and whatnot, and in the moment you can relate, you can you're like, yeah, maybe I should try that. But then when the situation plays out in your very own house, where like you're saying you're waking up, somebody is not saying good morning to you as the bonus parent,
You
and
don't
you're
exist.
like,
And know your kids.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're a pair, so they're a gang. Now we have this gang, and you're your partner.
So they're called the inside and the insiders and the outsiders,
yes.
and it's very clear in blended families.
It is. You don't belong. You don't belong here.
And that's why I'm telling you that wisdom, because you see, for me, let me give from my perspective. I think I experienced it a lot with my now current husband, who had to take a step back. And for me, I was like, what's going on? Like, why are you doing certain things? And it's like, no, it's because at the moment I'm an outsider. And at the moment, it's okay for me to be an outsider, because if I try to form that love bond to an extent where it's just not reachable, I'll only end up hurting myself and frustrating the children.
And being resentful.
Exactly, and being resentful that this is not happening.
As a family,
yeah,
you are doing just okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't want a family,
Exactly.
He is also getting the vibe.
100% from the kids and from you.
Because you are okay. So what value do I bring to the table? Okay. What am I offering? So, and then you ask yourself, in what capacity did I come?
Yes.
Because
as a bonus parent.
As
now.
a bonus parent, in what capacity? What is my JD? What is my job description? It's clear I'm doing a supporting role. Yeah. I'm not the main actor.
Right.
But if I've come as a mother, when it comes to disciplining, when it comes to providing, when it comes to finances, okay, when is it okay? And when is it not okay?
Right. Those are within the years of establishing even what your relationship is to begin with. Because you see, like you're telling me, I guess there was an aspect of me telling the parents, both parents, then now telling the kids, which you asked me, how was it breaking it down to the kids? Oh my gosh.
How was yours?
It was wonderful, but at the same time scary, because my kids were quite young when they met him. And so it was one afternoon when they were coming from school, and he was spending the day at my place. And I think the van came earlier than it should have. And so I told him my kids are here. And, I was panicking because he hadn't met them yet. And I didn't want to hide him in the cupboard. So I told him, just sit and act normal. You're going to meet them.
It's mommy's friend.
It's mommy's friend.
Yeah.
And so they came in, and I guess I wasn't letting a lot of people into my house. So they're like, who is this person in our house? If it wasn't relatives of very close friends, they don't. I never used to introduce them. So or bring people to my house. My house was like my safe space,
my sanctuary.
Yeah. So so they came home and they met him and they sat and they said hi. And my daughter, my younger one, she had a habit of hugging people, but she didn't know how to react to this person because she doesn't know them. So she went and she stood in front of him. So I had to tell him she wants a hug. You get what I mean? So then now he had to then hug her.
But that's so cute.
Yeah, he just went and stood, the younger one. Yeah, she just went and stood in front of him and looked at him. So can you imagine?
Do the
necessary deed, right? So so she said hi to him, and I guess that was the first interaction. Then he made the conscious effort to try and spend some time with them when I allowed it. But it was a nice first meeting. My firstborn was a bit on the older side, and so she was very conscious of her space and who this person is. So she was more reserved. She didn't let him in as easy as my secondborn.
She was guarded.
She was very guarded, and she just kept her distance, and she was just observing him. Yeah, it took some time, because we had to have a conversation as to who this person is, and the fact that they are not taking the role of their biological father, because their biological father is present in their life.
Is he an active parent?
He's an active parent, yes. He's a very active
So
parent.
you co-parent?
We co-parent as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It gets real when it gets to that level.
Yes.
I always say I did not co-parent. I parented. People say it's easier. I don't think so. I think co-parenting is important. And what you guys are doing is really amazing if you can co-parent. And if I may ask, did everyone move on?
I'm not aware if. First of all, thank you for that. It's not easy to co-parent. I'm sure. I know you've had conversations of co-parenting as well here on the podcast. I, unlike a lot of people, didn't have an easy time when it came to getting to the decision of what the co-parenting structure looks like. Okay. Because there were a lot of fights, and I sympathize with a lot of people who are in that space where they're trying to figure out what co-parenting looks like. Because sometimes I'll get inboxes of, Claire, I'm really struggling right now. I don't know what to do. My kids have been crying all day. They've been gone. I'm not used to the distance. And so all I can say is it doesn't get easier, but you're able to navigate the space a lot better, right? And so for me, I'm like, as much as it's a commendable thing, the journey towards getting to that point where there's a proper structure can be a hell of a road.
It can be.
Yeah.
Oh, I always tell people, I didn't know. We used to be served every day. You know, you're the office, the serving. You know, we have to say the truth. Yeah. You know, you forget when two people have been together, they were in love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how deeply they were in love is how deeply they will fall out of love. Okay. So here it's painful. There's a lot of pain. People are going through a lot. And so it wasn't easy. Sometimes I used to wonder, why don't I just pack my bags?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can I just pack my bags and leave these dysfunctional people? And I packed a few times, but eventually I said, no more packing. Yeah.
You know, I like the fact that you're able to be honest and say that because it happens in blended families. Yeah.
Do you know I used to pack and then remove clothes from the hanger?
You even feel like an idiot. No, I packed. Mpaka viatu, everything. Jewelry, makeup.
Now the thing is, I couldn't go to my mother's house because don't forget, I'm already married and I said yes to this man with children were not a secret. The children were bridesmaid and bride. They were in the wedding, at the wedding. Wow. They were witnesses. But who am I going to? How can I go back? Traditional parents. Yeah. How can I go back and say
that I've come back?
So now, no option. I used to pack and go to a hotel. The hotel used to be, if you know Utali College, that hotel, it knows my name.
I like the fact that you talked yourself out of it.
I took myself out of it. And, you know, then you'd switch off your phone. Yeah. And then after 3 days, you come. Do you know how it feels like to unpack?
Embarrassment.
You take the hanger again.
That's why all your pride goes. And you put them back where they are. No ego.
And you tell those guys, Mama umerudi. Merudi.
I'd gone for a trip. With everything.
Yeah. Don't ask question. Even the wigs went for a trip.
Yeah. Let me tell you, that is, I guess it's not talked about enough, but it happens a lot in blended families. Things are bad.
Things are big.
Things are big.
Lakini mwisho nikasema yeye ndo atapack.
Yeah.
Sasa ni yeye afanye a pack. Where am I going with 6 children? He's saying yes to me. Like Claire said, you know, not everyone is lucky like Claire. Me have 6 children, 12 eyes, 12 years.
Oh no.
And legs. Yeah. Going. But you know, the blending takes time.
It does.
And I think it's very important in this space to specify that, you know, to talk about it.
Yeah.
And to be open to say it's not easy.
It's really not.
Which brings me to the next question.
Yes, please.
So how has it been for him? Why I'm asking that because as a mom, I had the motherly instinct. Okay. So I was patient enough. I had the motherly instinct of, you know, being understanding to the children. So I will say from that perspective that I didn't have a lot of fights in terms of taking care of the children or allowing to set the tone. Because I'm a woman, so I'm more motherly.
Right.
So if I flip the picture to the other side, I can imagine for a man, the man is the head of the home. If I walk in, this is my home, these are my children.
Right.
And then I have to parent. And we know men are the ones who lead the home, new traditions. You also let him go. You are used to your family and your children, or you are not used to someone telling you, where are you going, where are you coming? How was that transition for him and for you?
Okay. I think when I sit down and I'm just listening to your question, I think what really messes up a situation in terms of like, you see the question that you're asking me, I think it's really based on expectations and if that person has met them or not. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I think like communication is one of the most important things ever. And so I was blessed enough to have somebody who's a really good communicator. In fact, I had to catch up. Communication, like I'm the one who's never responding to messages. Jesus. I'm the one who's not, so.
Don't judge me, I know I'm the one.
I know.
Don't. I always says far from communication is another communication.
I know. And so I was able to understand and to learn the things that are important to him. Mm-hmm. And communication was one of them. So when I talk about his communication, he would go to the extent of telling me what he's comfortable and what he's not comfortable with doing when it comes to parenting roles, when it comes to the duties in the house. So these were conversations that we had beforehand. So before we even decided that we're going to, have the Rora show, before we even decided all those things, these are conversations that we had. And they were led by people who are very close to us. That's the mom, my parents, his uncle.
Yeah, because they have cheerleaders.
They're our cheerleaders.
They invested
exactly.
in it more than you at this rate.
100% invested. And also, unfortunately, we were sort of thrown into the deep end because I was going through custody battles. So we were in court. I was served. The same way you're saying that you were served and whatnot.
Every month.
Exactly.
I didn't even know that Kenya has those people who come to observe where children, they're called what?
The child welfare.
The child welfare. I didn't know it works in Kenya, but there was a person.
Yeah, they come and check the living conditions of your children
and they stay
on both sides.
The next day, I didn't know the justice system in Kenya works until then. So I didn't know.
How many times did they have to come to you? They're supposed to come like maybe 2 or 3 visits, not more than that.
You see,
even one.
Also, it depends on depends on who your partner is, because in court games are played.
Okay, yeah, that's
so
100.
Games are played,
that's
100%. And in this country sometimes, and family law is tricky.
It is.
Family law is tricky. It's very tricky.
Yeah. So we were thrown in the deep end, and so we were dealing with a lot of things during that first initial period, where it forced us to have difficult conversations, because now this is somebody who has to know exactly what went on, what's going on, how we're planning to move forward. And so these are sort of the conversations that we had to talk about. In terms of how he took it, I can't speak for him, but from what he's communicated to me, it's been difficult. But at the same time, he says that he feels a sense of relief because of my children are they're really nice kids, honestly. And so he found it easy to love. You get to love them. So they had that bond.
So they have their own relationship.
They have their absolute own relationship. I just love the fact that he takes initiative to build that bond with them. So for example, he'll randomly take them out on their own. But before we go to that point of me trusting him, let's not even talk. It took some time, okay? Because you also need to give that space at some point. Not immediately.
Not immediately, but but you have to be able to show your children that you trust me. And they're watching. If you don't trust me with your person, how am I supposed to trust you?
Exactly.
You're talking about children who,
exactly.
I'm actually thinking about it. An 11-year-old is a generation alpha.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're way smarter and they ask questions.
That's what they are? I thought they're Gen Z, all of them.
No, generation alpha, yes. Yeah. Yeah, so they're more smart, more aware. There's an internet. So mine were not. And I can imagine the challenge. So yours with being informed with the information and with the questions. So I can imagine.
Yeah. No. Communication was a big thing in terms of sitting down with the girls and having that conversation, because sometimes as parents we sort of this is my husband, this is my person, and get your children, so you follow us, you get with the program,
yes, how we broke the news was not the best.
It's
so I'm
okay, we learn.
You guys are doing a good job.
No, we're trying. We're just, because let me tell you, it's a journey. It's a day at a time, and you learn every single day. And so what we're doing with the kids is just having conversations within their age.
within
within what their age understanding.
But an 11-year-old
you know?
now is like us when we was 15 or 16.
That's true. They understand a lot. They've seen a
Than we
lot.
think.
They're not, than more than we think. And so, oh gosh, more than, in fact, one of the hardest conversations I had was with my daughter just the other day. I'm not going to say what it was about for her privacy, but they know a lot. They know a lot. They know a lot. And so what we do with the kids is we just talk to them. I think that's the one thing that needs to be done a lot more than in traditional families, in blended families. It's just that in the conversations, the difficult ones, and not forcing things down someone's throat. Like you're saying, the connection may not be instant. It may never happen.
It may never happen.
Exactly.
But you can have
a decent conversation.
And over time, what happens is they also appreciate you.
Exactly.
And you've been constant. You've kept your word. You trust is built. So you have to be consistent when you're the other parent. You're doing your partner an injustice because you've brought him to their life because you trust him.
Exactly.
So he has to understand the weight of what the position that he has. I'm just happy what you've said, communication.
Thank you.
And I think everyone learns. I've taken that home. Personally, I'm not a great communicator.
We are working on ourselves. We are working on
it. And like you said, children push you to certain levels of self-awareness that you didn't know you had it in you. And does your husband have a brother?
He's got 4 brothers. I mean, 3 brothers. Yeah.
Are they single?
They're all taken.
Okay, we go to our next question.
It's so cute.
Leanne, sorry. Out of the market.
Are you looking though?
I always joke. She did banter. I'm returning what she said. When she said I'm returning back to her. We don't have to catch each other. We laugh because it can be so serious on this side of this.
Yeah. She's still gonna have to deal with you.
No, we're shooting for more other videos, so don't worry. Let's give a good one. I'm going with Claire. Where?
I know. Then after this,
I know. No more smocha now. What? Donut.
Oh,
okay. So, your husband is amazing. His great communication is key.
My husband is amazing. He's amazing. He is,
Does he tell you I love you every day?
No. Well, which relationship does that? I'd like to know, please. I love you every single day. I mean, he does show me every single day. Yes. The actions speak louder than words. But in terms of vocal, he's not very, I love you.
But action-oriented.
Action is just, wow, you can see it.
When it came to disciplining, who disciplines the children, you or him?
So it's me. And he just doesn't, he's a man and they're girls. So he's just like, I'm never gonna like discipline in terms of like corporal punishment.
No.
But
in terms of consequences.
Yes, consequences he does 100%.
Okay.
And it's because he's gonna be way gentler than I am. So I allow it.
True.
Yeah.
Actually, the easier ones. Trust me, every day I look at my children and I don't want to make them feel.
You know, the funny thing is they usually say in blended families that you shouldn't let the disciplining should fall solely on the biological parent. However, I find that extremely difficult in the long run. Because I'm like, you're living in each other's house. Yes. Sometimes the biological parent is not there. The child is doing something. You're going to have to act as the authority in the house.
Yes, and my children got to a point now when I had my own child, Sean. They questioned me, Mom, why do you discipline Sean that when you don't discipline us? And I didn't know that I was doing them a disservice.
It was your own child that you were doing more disciplining.
No, they want me to discipline them the way I discipline Sean.
Okay.
Because I'm more strict, meaning they'll turn out to be, why is the standard lower when it comes? And so I had to explain to them that I'm more gentle because they said no.
Yeah, do it the same way.
Do it the same way.
Yeah.
So it means you don't love us the same way.
That's
So-
sad to hear, but at the same time,
Yes, at
it's
the
also
same
like
time you're learning
Yeah.
because they want you to own it. I want you to be my stepmom. Do whatever is within your jurisdiction.
right.
And like your husband has proven that loves them and is there, so he has to operate like the man of the house.
100%. And also because of the fact that we've had that conversation. That's what I say. Conversation, communication is so important because then you have in blended families, you have to be on the same page. So you have to be like, okay, what are within our limits of disciplining
Yes.
and what are you okay with? What are you not okay with? So that in turn, I don't start getting angry at him for doing something where I'm just like, that's not okay. Why did you do that? And for him, that's his way of parenting,
Yes.
so it's having that distinction and conversation and sitting down with your partner and communicating what you're okay with and what you're not, right?
Okay.
And we've done that as well.
Do you feel territorial with your children?
100%. I'm their mother.
I think that's it.
You get and it's
Does it feel painful sometimes?
it is painful.
Well,
it is you get
it's
there's a
disciplining
feeling
them.
that you can't
I can't
explain.
feel
There's
but-
like a feeling.
but then you
yeah,
hold
but you
yourself
can't you have to
to
hold
hold-
yourself because you have to
At least
you
you
can't
say
demean his
this.
authority. Yeah, no, you feel it.
And then you go back and you fight and
Yeah,
make noise in the bedroom.
you have to talk about it after, like, why did you do this in and you know
So
it
we
will
are
be a
not-
fight.
I'm not alone.
No, you feel it. It's because of that biological bond that you have. So there's this thing that's called the love association, which is in a book I'm reading, but you and your child have a love association that's bond from before this person came into the picture. And that's why you have cases where when my daughter is being sarcastic to me, I'm like, that's my toy just being normal.
Yeah,
it's whatever.
There is no maliciousness.
There's no malice.
There's
Exactly.
There's no malice.
So then now when the same sarcasm is done to the bonus parent, it's felt differently.
You take it personally.
You take it personally.
Yeah, but it takes time. With time, you understand
Exactly.
that children are just children.
They're just kids.
They're going through a phase, like now your daughter is 11, so it's 12. So they were just exhibiting change of hormones. It is adulthood.
Yeah.
It's a lot of changes. So over time, you learn not to take it personally.
I like the fact that you've said over time.
over
Because in
time.
the beginning, you just want them to love you as a bonus parent. And also for me, I just want them to love, my bonus parent.
I'm asking, can't you see the effort? Can't you see the sacrifice?
Yeah.
That I'm here, I'm trying to be your mom, I'm
Yeah.
young, I'm sacrificing. But then they did not ask you.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I like that you said
over time.
over time.
You catch yourself so many times. Oh, so many times.
Yeah.
I catch, even now, my children now, we are at the stage where I have an individual relationship with them.
Okay.
And maybe that's where people need to understand that there's my relationship with my husband and my relationship. Every child is an individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we bond on an individual level. So it's not a blanket.
Okay.
Because one child is putting effort and the other one is not, and then you're blanketing all of them together.
Yeah.
So it is more work, I know, for your partner, but to do the role justice, you have to do that. You have to do that.
Yeah.
But the older you grow, the more you learn to pick your battles.
You do. I like the fact that you're giving your side of things as a bonus parent, because one thing that we've learned through our journey is to get the other person's perspective. So you see how you're speaking, I'm able to see my partner a lot in the things that you're saying. Whereas if he was to tell me some of the things, it doesn't land as softly as I'd hear it from another bonus parent. So then the advice that I usually give, and I don't like giving advice, but usually what's worked for us is when we get the perspective from the other side. So he gets a perspective from a biological parent as to why I'm responding and reacting and feeling a certain type of way. And then I get the perspective from a bonus parent so that I can hear them easier. Because when my husband says it, it's just, it doesn't land the same.
And now you can imagine, during my time, people have internet nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
They have books. I had nowhere to read.
Oh, I know.
I had no one to tell me. I had no reference point. I'd never seen a stepmother.
Yeah.
So, I love the fact that now we have such kind of information.
Yeah.
And that you people are actually doing it in the right way. So if no one has told you you're doing it in the right way, You will make it. This
Thank
is sure
you.
going to work.
Amen. Thank
If
you very
mine
much.
worked and we did have a plan, these people will have a plan.
Thank you.
I'm thinking,
Amen.
where were you 17 years ago? Because, there's no time. You see the way you're saying, in a blended family, time is short.
Yep.
When are you going to have this conversation? Sometimes, even you disengage. Because you're doing sacrificing, waiting to be loved, and then deep down in your heart, it will never be the same. But you accept that it will be different, and different, that is not bad. So I feel in blended family we lack support, because where are you going to get these friends from who are speaking about it? Do you have support? Do people have support nowadays?
So yes, one of your guests that's actually was here, Dindi, she started up a platform with the Nairobi Chapel, which sort of opens that space to be able to talk about some of the issues that we face. Not only that, the space that you're creating, in fact, we'll talk about this after. I feel like it's something that can be done.
Yeah, I ran away. You know what you just said? That I'm afraid to give advice. And did you see that disclaimer? Yeah. That is the disclaimer.
No, not advice.
You're afraid. I'm so afraid of telling someone how the truth, because I don't want them not to try.
Okay.
I don't want them not to try to a point where, people ask me, would my children, I'd say no.
Okay.
My daughter, my son, I don't think they have the capacity. So that's the fear of that support. I know the support system is needed. Yes, me, I've been talking about it for many years, but it is very difficult. Yeah. It is very difficult. Yeah. Because every family is different.
Exactly.
And you don't want someone to say, quote, Claire said that this and this worked for her. What advice would you give a single mother who wants to go back out there and try again?
I feel like there's always people saying that, heal and all this and all that. But it's something that I'd said when I was giving a talk the other time, when somebody was asking, how do you know when you're healed? And I thought about it and I was just like, do you know how many times that when I got into this current relationship now, something would trigger me and I didn't realize that it's still a problem? And I'd react and I'm just like, wait, I thought I'd healed from that. And you can't really know if you're healed unless you're in another relationship.
But there's no healing. There is
healing in certain aspects. I think for me, what healing looks like is understanding your pain points, understanding yourself completely. Because you see, the thing is, self-awareness is that, I think for me is one form of healing. And then also, for me, I'm Christian. So for me, I don't believe in any sort of healing without God involved and the word of God. And, so for me, that plays a very big role for me, right?
So that's where you get your strength.
That's where I get my strength. That's where I get my, my wisdom. That's where I get my joy. I'm absolutely nothing without God, 100%. And so for me, my advice to single moms would be to just begin to love yourself again. Because that's just where it all begins. And then just do it scared. Like, it's scary anyway. It's a risk. Like, at the end of the day, even,
looking up is a risk.
It's a risk. Yeah. And you just have to live. Oh my gosh, you just have to live life with everything that's wrong with it. With everything wrong, with the tears that you've cried. Because trust me, I have cried very many tears. In my room, I have cried very many tears. But with those tears, with the hardship. Yeah, just they dry.
All 17 years later, I tell myself, I promised myself I'm going to cry next week.
I know. And then you cry. You make sure you schedule a crying.
Then I forget because there's another fire. Another fire that you did not. Let me tell you, blended families. You wake up in the morning, you are okay. You are chilling. And now by 11 a.m., there's a fire.
Happens. Yeah.
So I love the fact that you said, you get strength from God above.
Yeah.
Then comes to your family.
Yes.
Just if I would drop a map.
Yes.
Then comes to your to your partner.
Yes.
Your children, then your partner.
Yes.
So are you seeing all that lined up for you? So then you stand a chance.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You stand a chance.
We pray so, honestly. And even so, let me tell you something.
I'm following. There is no way that the two of you can think, I'm looking at the two. You're going to make it work, okay?
You make it work. And even if it doesn't, it's okay.
it is definitely
It's okay, yeah.
And I always say, even if it doesn't, I will always be my stepchildren's friend.
Yeah.
Like my relationship with them is not dependent on my relationship with their father.
100%. Although it makes it a little bit more tricky, but that's another whole podcast.
I grew up with them.
I know. Okay, yeah. You have been at it for 17 years.
So the relationship it's individual relationship.
Yeah.
It's my love for them is not dependent for my love with the dad. Yeah. And so that reassurance is required. Reassurance, affirmation. Yeah. And even if it's 17 years, sometimes it's 17 years and we face things that we forgot about, things that were maybe 12 years ago, but no one spoke about it. And now is when the heart is coming out.
Right.
So like you say, communication, keep at it. Keep at it.
We will. We definitely will.
Keep at it. And so lastly, give me 3 misconceptions that you feel people have for your family.
No.
Oh, 3. I wanted it to be fun.
3.
Just
3
3
misconceptions that people have about our family,
Yes.
as us or as a blended family unit.
You are a family.
As our family.
All of you.
Oh my gosh.
All of you.
So a misconception that a lot of people may have is that, oh my gosh, he's bonded so perfectly with the kids. It must have been so easy for him. It has not been easy for the both of us. Another one, a misconception that I think a lot of people would have is that, I don't think it's a misconception, but like, what, Victoria, what wawili? Like you just usingilili, and I think that fits for every single relationship. Where it's like every couple goes through their own fair share of issues.
No, I like the fact you say these things because someone somewhere who's thinking of trying, is they say, you know what, I've been ignoring this guy or this chick because she has kids. You're like, hey, let me reply to the message. Do you know we lose out on so many good people?
You do. You really, because you don't give it a chance.
You don't give it a chance.
But okay, let me tell you, it's not easy. Hey, by the time you actually decide, I'm gonna give this a shot, and then the lizards that are in our Nairobi.
For me, there's no option. I'm a millennial. The day I said yes with that white girl, there's no going back.
I know.
And also, I don't like failing. I don't fail.
Oh, bam, boom, chakalaka.
I didn't enter to fail, boss. Get your act together.
We make it work.
Make it work.
Another misconception that I don't know what misconception. Maybe that would be the only one.
But what people look inside, what do you think people don't appreciate?
When they look inside that they don't appreciate.
The way you say, it's not been easy for your husband to blend.
Right.
What don't they appreciate? So, if you tell them, then they're able to extend more grace to blended families. Because, people are always waiting. There's this thing of, the first marriage didn't work. Let's see this one. Then she'll be the problem or he's the problem. So there's a lot of pressure. So those misconceptions that people have. And you carry them at the back of your head, even though you don't. And those trigger a lot of issues, but it's just misconceptions. Number 1, they think blending was easy. Second one?
I honestly think that grace should be extended to every single individual who is in a relationship because they're not easy. Yeah, they're just not
even
they're not easy.
Family.
Yeah, they're not easy. And so there's a certain level of respect that I personally have for married couples or people in very strong long-term relationships, because I can only imagine the work that's gone into making them or getting them where they're at. And, is a thing where, well, I'm not going to say the whole thing, but there's a thing where people normally say where it's like you've panel beaten each other, to a point where you want each other to be. And so that does not, it's not easy to do that. It's really not. So in terms of wanting people to extend grace to us, we have a very strong communication with my husband in terms of the things that we talk about. You know how you talk about with your husband, you talk about people, you talk about the way they treat you, you talk about, how you'd want to be treated by other people in friendships, in your family.
Claire, that's you.
And so we've talked about that, right?
Because are great, like you said, you're a great communicator.
No, he was. I'm just learning, right?
Now you are.
So then that helps us be able to manage our expectations of what we want others to, because we create the boundaries for ourselves. Do you get what I mean? So we don't necessarily lean on what others may think or how much grace they're extending us. It's what we accept into our space that we then sort of talk about a lot. Does that make sense? I hope it does.
It makes sense because you self-check each other.
Yeah.
And so you are ready, you're prepared. So you're able to face many things.
Hopefully, yes. With God's help, let me tell you, hopefully, yes.
You have.
Yes, we have faced a lot of things. And hopefully we'll be able to face a lot more. Yes.
The hard job is
done.
Let's talk 2 more years from now. We'll
be laughing.
We'll be laughing.
Amen.
We'll be saying that was a challenge.
Amen.
No, I'm not triggered anymore. You even find it funny.
I look forward to those times.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming. And for a parting shot, are you enjoying yourself? What I mean by enjoying yourself in the relationship. Now we remove the children in the relationship.
Would I fall in love again with him? 100%. You know, the thing is, let me tell you, there's a very thin line between enjoying the person that you're with and your relationship and the difficulties that you have to face and thinking that your relationship is not good, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people then confuse this because of the fact that they're dealing with a lot of things. They're like, I'm not happy. I'm not in a good relationship. And you completely forget all the positive things because of just the weight of the things and the situations that you're going through.
Yes.
And that happens a lot in blended families because of the weight of the things that we have to deal with. However, then it's you to consciously decide, you know what? Yes, this is difficult. Yes, this is hard. But date night, we're going for date night. You understand what I mean? But we're going to put aside as difficult, and it takes time. We took time to get there. As difficult as this may be, we're going to enjoy each other's time. And if enjoying each other's time is watching that movie, we're going to watch that movie. We're going to go skating. Like we said, we're going to go skating. You know what I mean? And it's making that conscious effort to understand. Yeah.
There's still romance in Nairobi. Skating, what else do you do?
It's a lot, but it's for you to consciously make that effort and that decision. Because at the end of the day, if you decide what your relationship is based on your hardships, and I'm not talking about hardships for Kina PDD where people are being chapwad. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the relationship things. Yeah, the relationship things that you have to deal with.
It's a stranger you're meeting, you're forming a new family, new traditions. We are all hurt wherever we've come from. Those are the challenges we're talking about. Those natural challenges that even a nuclear family would face, but now in the family it's more. We're not PDD, no.
I know. And so for me, I'm enjoying, I guess, growing as well because of the fact that I've had to, there's certain levels of things that we had to deal with that has had to grow me in many different ways. And so those are the things that I'm enjoying. It's not just all about, I love you, sijui romance, sijui nini, sijui what. No, I'm really enjoying building a life with him, which is for me way more important than showing the world a perception of what relationships should be. When really in most cases, it's not that way. Yeah.
So you can find love again.
You really can.
You can find love
and
again.
Even you can learn to love yourself again on a deeper level. Yeah.
Thank you for coming, Claire.
Thank you for having
Thank you for
me.
all the positive advice. Now I'm going home to work on communication. Communication.
100%.
That is the answer.
Yeah.
No, but I've gotten better. But you've hit the nail on the head. In
Thank
families, communicate.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And this is fantastic. And your space is so beautiful.
You're welcome.
You guys, honestly, you should see this place. It looks way better in person. Yeah.
Any question?
Beautiful.
Do you have a girlfriend with children? Don't have any question?
No.
Leanne? Any question for Claire? You know,
And that statement.
yeah. There.
I'm
Yeah.
talking to Lisa. She sounds attacked. She's in defense because coming for her. So yeah, thank you, Claire. And I can't wait to have more of these conversations.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.